No one cares about you. No one's coming to save you. No one really cares. But you gotta use that to your own advantage. So I turned 30 years old a couple months ago. And that couple months ago became almost a year ago. And I'm about to be 31 this year. And no one ever told me that once you hit 30, I'm gonna fall into this weird depression because I didn't expect myself, or my reality did not meet my expectations. No one told me that I was going to be in an abusive emotional relationship and it would take me 3 years to figure my own shit out. No one told me that I would be in this exact predicament. I didn't want to be that 30-year-old washed up YouTuber that's way too old, past his prime, still trying to get clout. But I never was or got washed up to begin with. The doctors thought I was insane. They're like, how about you try some meds? The pandemic happened. I got dumped. And yes, that was just not a blanket term. I was in a very abusive relationship. And as a man, you're like, man up, man. How can you let yourself go through that? So I never really touched upon it. And it took me 3 years to realize that I deserve so much more. Out of myself, out of a partner, and out of life. But it was because of that relationship, everything else kind of was put to the side. And I tried to save that relationship. Got into the wrong gig, and it all came and stemmed from not knowing really where I was going in life. Constantly trying to prove things to people. And this internet and social media thing kind of made me go a little cray-cray. And when you are faced with the whole world having a feeling of no one really having your back, my whole life I was trying to be someone. When the reality was I was already someone. So once I turned 30, I thought that was it. I was just the washed up person who tried to be a YouTuber, tried to chase clout, never even got that clout. Was in such an abusive, manipulative, emotionally gaslit relationship that it took me 3 years blaming myself, being in the hospital, having an infection, almost being like, is that it? Is that it in my life? I tried so hard to get here and that's it? No one ever really prepares you for this societal stigma of how once you hit 30, you should have everything intact. Your finances, your career, your relationships. And then I started comparing myself to other people, to society. I wanted to be a dad, bro, by the time I was 30. But I took so many L's. So many L's that I just left myself completely down and out. Where I was like, I deserved everything that has happened to me. I deserve to be in that relationship. Right? I deserved to have a really horrible client, gaslighting, used and abused, all just trying to be an adult. All by living in one of the most expensive cities, trying to be an adult. You should get a job, make some money. And then when you hit 30 years old, you're like, Why don't I feel happy? Why do I feel so lost? And then on top of that, you start panicking. You start freaking out. And I'm a guy. And it's like, we live in a world now that is so much different than our past generation, our parents. And for having our parents live completely different world with social media now, where sometimes I feel like with the cards that I was given, I could have done more. I have so much more to give. If you actually looked at my cards and what I was dealt with in life, you'll be like, holy shit, Peter, you did a really good job coming from fucking nothing. Nothing. But in my head, I'm like, I didn't get where I wanted to get, right? I didn't get the clout. I didn't deserve success. I didn't deserve anybody to follow me. I didn't deserve, the thing that I wanted to do in the first place was to create fucking YouTube videos for me. But instead, I helped other people, rich white people, privileged people, use my skill and help build whatever it is that they were trying to build. And by doing so, I eventually sold my soul for money. Sold my soul for a relationship. Sold my soul just trying to be accepted. By who? By what? Right? And then you hit 30 and you realize nothing really changes. Nothing ever really changes. Besides that number, if you're a girl, a female, you do have that biological ticking time bomb. But then it's only at 30 you realize, holy shit, everybody else was lying to me. No one really has it figured out, and everyone is just trying to pretend to have it figured out. And the biggest thing with being a first generation Vietnamese Canadian is having the dream of retiring and making sure your family eats good. And I couldn't do that. And I got way too far to give up this far. You know what I mean? They worked way too hard to get me only this far. And if you are privileged, you're probably not going to understand where this perspective is coming from. Where every immigrant kid wants their mom and dad to eat good because only you know how hard they have worked for you. Where I've been trying to have this balancing act of being able to do things for me and ultimately living a life for me, but at the same time, staying so close to my roots. This ain't a sob story, but with things going on with the past couple of years, families getting weaker, hospitalizations, me in the hospital, I've always had being the first kid in the family with this tremendous amount of weight on my shoulder to pave this new path. Let alone try to do this new thing called content creation that was so far-fetched back then, 6-7 years ago. It still haunts me where it's like, man, maybe I should have done something a little bit more safe, a little bit more stable. So I did something a little bit more stable, but in turn ended up hurting me in the long run, my mental, my physical, and my spiritual. And here I am only at 30, going on 31, with a lot more wisdom now, a lot more experience. And I know that took some time off just to be all with my feels. Being like, it's okay to feel burnt out. It's okay to cut off certain people in my life, situations and scenarios. But now, Now it's time to stop being quiet. Now it's time to watch me hopefully inspire you to get your life back in action. No more playing the blame game. No more feeling sorry. Dust that little shoulder off, and I'll show you how great I am, and hopefully in turn, inspire how great you are as a human being. Long gone is the days of this is one certain path in life, this is the way to go. There's everybody on the internet trying to tell you who and what and experience to do, and it's very easy to get lost in the sauce. Because I sure have. I sure have. This Peter right here would have been so damn proud of all the things that I've accomplished. Coming from East Vancouver, no education in my family, being the first one to go through university, making money, speaking English. There was a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I felt like I crumbled. But I think I did a decent job. So here's to me. Recreating again and again and again and again and again until I get it right. Until I get it right.